Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. And today we've got some serious price action going on over here in cryptocurrency. We have Bitcoin down 10% this morning. So the last few days have just been kind of like consolidation and slowly kind of grinding to the downside. But today we got kind of a bigger move, a full 10% already. And we're only about 14 hours into the trading day. There's still 10 hours remaining. But right here on this chart, I wanted to show you two different things. On the top of the screen, I have the 2017 bull run, and down here, we're in the 2021 bull run. And you could see very clear similarities here on what was going on after a big breakout and when we had our first major correction in the 2017 bull run. I remember that correction very well. I remember exactly what it was like. A lot of new people got drawn into the market at that time, and then I watched the price fall all the way down to $1,800. I'll never forget it. It was I was sitting at the pool. I think I was at the pool with my daughter that day, and I was watching it from my phone, thinking, "Man, we're all the way down to 1,800. That's crazy." And at that time, when that correction happened, absolutely the belief throughout cryptocurrency was that's it. Bitcoin's a Ponzi. That was the end of it. It's done. But I wanted to hit the play button for you here on the top to show you what eventually ended up happening with Bitcoin after that moment. You can see there was our big dip down to 1,800, and then the prices just kept on going and going and going. And there was a lot of scary corrections along the way, but as you can see over time, you could watch this thing just get smaller and smaller and smaller in relation to what happened with that bubble there in 2017. And well, it ended up going way all the way up to 20,000, and this was just a blip on the radar at that point. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to go that high in this bull run with Bitcoin. My personal opinion is it won't actually go as high as it did in the last bull run. If we did an equivalent move to what we did in 2017, that'd take us all the way up to about $300,000. If you've been following this channel, you know my opinion. Somewhere between $70,000 and $80,000 is where I expect the top to come in for Bitcoin before it has another major multi-year correction. But we haven't seen one of these bigger corrections in Bitcoin in a long time, and I do have experience of going through these things in a bull run and what they're like. And every single time during those bull runs, when those corrections were happening, the market got completely freaked out every single time. Now, I don't know if we're going to do the same thing right there. I don't know if this low is going to hold right here or if we do have some type of sea leg that's going to really kind of shake people out. But in the end, I don't think we've seen the top of the Bitcoin bull run. And especially, I mean, the key signal to that is that we haven't seen the alt season yet. Now, if we had something where Ethereum like went to $25,000 and everything else stayed low and nothing else was going, it was like, well, maybe that was our alt season and it was just going to be Ethereum or something like that. But no, we haven't seen any of the altcoins really go on monstrous bull runs or even have one in particular go on a massive bull run. Now, many people will argue that, hey, the chart's actually, if you look at it right now and the way it looks right now, it's actually looking similar to what we saw back there at the end of the bull run, at the end of 2017, and that was the complete top, and it is completely over. My argument to that would be that that would mean that we just had the shortest and the smallest bull run in Bitcoin history, and we've never seen a bull run come even close to being that small before. And it would have also done the bull run without any type of alt season, which it's never done before either. So you have two different things you'd have to be saying there. You'd have to say, one, it was the smallest bull run in history, and two, there was no alt season during this bull run, which there's always been an alt season during the bull run. So, could we be correcting? Sure. Is that the end of it? I really doubt it. One thing that I find really interesting is if we look at the total altcoin market cap compared to Bitcoin, we see a difference going on here. If you look at this correction that's taken place here, look where these altcoins are at, the whole market of the altcoins, in comparison to where Bitcoin's at. Bitcoin's down near the bottom of the range, and it got rejected right up here near the 0.786 Fibonacci retracement, yet these altcoins continued going a little bit higher and are up here near the top side of the range. So we're starting to see something interesting going on with these altcoins. As we know, the altcoin market cap is up here battling against this key Fibonacci retracement level of the entire bear market that happened. So we are still in that retracement level. So I'm not sure what to take of that data just yet, seeing that small of a deviation on a really small time frame, but I'm keeping an eye on it, and it is something interesting. But the clear thing is we need to get through these retracement levels, and we need to break out of here, because we have talked about this over the course of years now at this point, that this level right here is critical to break through to indicate any type of bullish momentum to the upside. This is a very strong resistance area, and a lot of times we do see rejections in here, so we need to get through it. And let me show you something that has been on my radar for the last week or so, and just kind of waiting for things to kind of play out. But I'll show you what I'm seeing here, in that maybe our alt season does start after this correction. As many of you know, my expectation has been that we actually go up to like 52, 53, 58, something like that, $1,000 for Bitcoin, have a monstrous correction, and then we start our alt season. But let's draw up a scenario right now that what if we're having a correction right now, and the alt season is going to begin right after this correction is done. I'll kind of present an argument for that. Whether or not it does it or not, I don't know, but let me just kind of present an interesting argument for it. I'm going to show you this right here. We can see this whole thing. We've shown this on the channel many times. I've shown this on my course on bcbacker.com many times, and how we have risen the same amount for this entire correction, this entire bull run that happened in 2017, went up to our same levels. Then all of our correcting happened exactly the same. And let me mark these again real quick, and I'll use a better one than that. Here we go. So we have our big top that comes in right here. We have our bottom that comes in down here, which is right there. And then we have our retracement back up here, which happens up here. And then we have one more fall down that happens down to here, right? You can see all of these. We had a perfect structure compared to what happened during this previous bull run that took place back here from 2011 through 2013. Identical in structure, identical correction areas. Time obviously took a lot longer during this time period. But anyway, we start breaking out. We don't see what we saw back in 2017, where there was a bunch of resistance in here that led to an alt season, but instead we see the big breakout happen, just like we saw back in 2013. It was this time period right here at about 50, if an equivalent pricing would be about $52,000 all the way down to $26,000, where there was a big correction, and this led us into our alt season that took off. But one thing you notice, that after it goes on its big bull run and it reaches all the way out here to an equivalent pricing of $70,000 to $80,000, how the correction in the bear market that comes afterwards takes us all the way back down to below this previous high over here, back into this area. So that would be something like right here, which we could see we do have gaps down in here. This is where the breakout began, and it just kept on going and going and going. So my expectations are that after this bull run, that we do pull all the way back down here for a multi-year bear correction. But can we see anything on a smaller time frame, right, that maybe would tell us that that's possible, and that maybe even after that correction, Bitcoin continues to go even higher again, and it does the whole thing all over again from right there, and it does actually go all the way up for the course of the next decade or so. Well, I want to point to a correction that we had way back in here, and it was the correction I just showed you at the beginning of this video, which was this one over here, and how this was an incredibly similar correction. I'll take this stuff off. I'll get us down on a smaller time frame to kind of show it here. And if we look down here, I'm going to come back over to this area. We could see how it just kind of bounced up and then had its capitulation event, then breaks out and breaks out. So you can see we come up, down, capitulation event, coming back up to here, just like over here, working our way out, and then we break out, and then we break out. But if you notice in this whole move right here, we have this right here, which would be just like this right here. And then now we're having our big one right here, which would be this one right here, right? So we get our big correction that comes in, we come up, we hit these 50s or 60s or whatever. I don't know at this point. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But notice what happens here. Then a big correction comes in. Where does that correction take it back into? It takes it back into this level right down in here, which would be this level right down in here, which is what we just showed happened with that previous fractal and that previous cycle, is that they would eventually go up one more time and then have a big correction all the way back down, and that's the end of the Bitcoin bull run. Here, I'll show it to you again. So I've scooted it over a little bit, but you see getting all the way up here, and where does it come back to? Right down into here. Now, I get it. That is not a sexy thing to say on this channel. I get it. I know what gets views. I know what builds hype. I know what gets excitement. People want to hear $300,000 now. They don't want to hear that it's going to take years to happen. They don't want to hear that the price could pull back down to $12,000 to $15,000 before that eventually happens. But you could see it in here. You could see that if we have that, this entire structure right in here is identical to this entire structure right in here, and this breakout that takes place and this breakout that takes place would put us right in here, something like that. And then there's one more push up, followed by a big correction. But what does that mean? That means that Bitcoin likely still has another bull run to do later. It's just going to take like 5 years for something like that to play out. But what does that also mean? That would mean that this bull run, which would be coming to an end, which like we saw in 2013, as we go in for this final swoop up, whether this has to correct down a little lower before it does it, this whole time period is where the alt season would happen. So if we are doing something like that, and if we do start seeing the altcoins take off, just always remember that. If the alt season is happening, we are in the final leg of Bitcoin. There's no questioning that. You'll know that at that time. If altcoins are completely taking off, you know we're in the final leg of Bitcoin. If altcoins aren't taking off, then hey, we could probably wipe that. That's probably not the scenario that's happening. But if the altcoin market is completely going ham, we know it. We've looked at it so many times. That's the end of the parabolic rise for Bitcoin. So we'll have that kind of key idea when that time does come. And I know a lot of people would hope that I'm wrong. A lot of people would hope that, hey, no, $70,000, $80,000, no way I want it going to 300,000. We'll know if I'm wrong before that time comes. If the altcoins are taking off, then we know that it's probably right. If the altcoins aren't taking off and it's just Bitcoin continuing to rise, then hey, I might be wrong. But keep an eye on this, that if this alt season does start after this correction does happen, then we might be in that final leg of Bitcoin heading up to the top. Alternatively, the thing that we've talked about a whole lot in here is that we still don't see alt season yet. We see it come up to here into the mid 50s, then we see our big crash, and then we see alt season begin right here as we head up to it. So there's still multiple things. I know people want the exact prediction of exactly how it will play out, but I'm trying to show you the different things so that way if they happen, you kind of have an idea. I know everybody says it has to happen exactly this way. It must happen this way or else it's wrong and we're all screwed. But that's not the case. And that's not how I've ever operated. I've always operated under the fact of, hey, there's multiple different scenarios, right? If one doesn't work out, what's the other one we're looking at, right? Of course, we never want the one where it's just a crashing market. It's always a possibility. And typically at the bottom of corrections, that's what everybody thinks we are. But if I had to say the likelihood of scenarios that are happening here, in my opinion, I think we've seen a correction like this. We're working on a breakout like this, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. People will argue that that was a wave, but it wasn't. We can look back here and see we've had these little things. This is just the little pullback after the breakout, which is right up here near the top, right? That's not a wave. That's just a resistance level, but this level would be this level. And so what we're looking for is to see if we're going to have an alt season happen in here, which would be in here as it pulls back up. Or if not, if there's no alt season in there, then I would expect a big pullback in Bitcoin, and then our alt season will begin in here, and the true decoupling from Bitcoin would happen up in here, which would just continue to have us follow what happened in 2013, where we just saw a big kind of correction up in here, up in this $50,000 to $55,000, $58,000 area, pull back, alt season, and then that's the end, pulling all the way back down into this level, right back down in here. So it's an exciting time for crypto. I know people want me to come on here and to say we're going to $1 million for Bitcoin and altcoins are going to $1,000 each, but I've always tried to remain realistic on this channel, right? Being a bull through the whole bear market, and then as we break out, we reach out to these targets, it's time to start pointing them out and start pointing out the things that I'm looking for, because now we're starting to really get near that end, right? We're starting to get near where, while the altcoins haven't taken off yet, that my expectation is that it's going to be coming, because Bitcoin is getting way up here, and figuring out where Bitcoin's going to top out, when those altcoins are going to happen, and when it's time to make that big exit, and then go enjoy a couple of years, right? And then we come back and we do it all over again through the next wave. But markets behave in waves, and to think that we're just at the very beginning of this wave, or at the very beginning of the bull market. The beginning of the bull market happened way back in December of 2018, which was 25 months ago. That's when the bull market began. We're real deep into this bull market, right? It's moving really fast and really parabolic, and now it's just trying to pick out when is that parabolic rise going to end. But I'll stand by it by saying I do not think this is the end of it, because it's simple. We haven't seen an alt season happen yet, and Bitcoin hasn't reached out to its Fibonacci extensions yet either. Remember what I showed at the beginning of the video, that we do see these types of corrections, and Bitcoin did correct like this from this level as well back in 2017, and everybody thought the sky was falling. So I'm going to stick with what I know, and that's that we have not reached out to our full Fibonacci extensions yet. We haven't mirrored what happened in 2013, which we have mirrored for the last 5-6 years at this point, and we haven't seen an alt season yet. So looks like we're just in a correction. But all right, I'll wrap this thing up. You guys can check out my website over here. It's bcbacker.com. I do have a lot of videos on here. This is my course where I deep dive into the previous Bitcoin bull runs and the previous altcoin seasons. Talk about a lot of different strategies that I use in this market. I give you my exit plans and how I plan on playing this market. If I'm doing any type of rotation plays, talk about mathematics and all that good stuff in here. And I teach a lot of the different tools and indicators for TradingView, or for you to be able to do your own charting. But you can check this out over here on bcbacker.com. You could follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker. I thought I was going to be taking today off because price action was just so boring yesterday and consolidated, but nope, we've got the price action again. So I'm back. But if I give any updates, I usually put them over here on Twitter. So follow me on Twitter at bcbacker. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick me up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.